The Dow Jones, otherwise known as the Dow Jones Industrial Average, is basically an index of 30 blue-chip stocks that are traded in the United States. It is believed that by studying this index, one can estimate how the stock market is performing as a whole. The Dow is considered to be the most followed and quoted index in the world. Furthermore, the Dow publishes the world's leading business publication, the Wall Street Journal. With the basics of the Dow Jones defined, it can be said that if the Dow Jones significantly came down, it would be an indicator of a stock market crash and would have an enormously adverse effect on global financial markets in general and the U.S. economy in particular. In other words, such an event would signify a financial storm or crisis.
No clouds in my stones. Let it rain. I hydroplane in the bank coming down like a Dow Jones.
We can now make a knowledgeable translation from "Let it rain, I hydroplane in the bank, coming down with the Dow Jones," to "coming down to the bank with foreknowledge of a Dow Jones stock market crash." It can be extrapolated here that there will be a financial crisis or financial storm. This crisis or storm has been masterminded by a non-human entity who states that "no clouds in my storms." But how can a non-human entity create a financial crisis? The answer to this question applies to all actualizations of malicious intent towards humanity. Non-human entities have known for eons that the primary means of actualizing their own will on earth is through the demonic manipulation technology called possession. It can be established that through the possession of human beings, a malevolent entity seeks to create a financial crisis which will cause great suffering on earth. We can also theorize that this entity speaks through Jay-Z, signifying that Jay-Z is under the umbrella or control of this entity. For his acquiescence, Jay-Z has been given foreknowledge of the impending financial crisis. The entity states that, "When the clouds come, we gone." Before we continue, let us be aware of the fact that this particular lyric is somewhat ambiguous in terms of the identity of its speaker. I cannot be absolutely sure which being is being represented here, and that the vocal timbre sounds singular at first, but is followed by a second voice. While this call and response motif is not uncommon in African American music, it still stands to reason that it may be an indicator of whom or what is speaking. This being said, we will have to analyze the lyric "When the clouds come, we gone" dualistically. Let us assume here that it is the entity that speaks "When the clouds come, we gone." If this is the entity speaking through Jay-Z, then this particular lyric is interesting for two reasons. First, it reveals to us that there is more than one entity involved, as evidenced in the use of "we gone." Secondly, it reveals to us that when the financial crisis takes place, the entities will not need to be present. Instead, they will be able to remain physically absent while actualizing their will on earth through the direct control of the human beings they possess. Let us now assume here that it is Jay-Z, the individual, that speaks. "When the clouds come, we gone." If "When the cloud comes, we gone" was spoken by the human being Jay-Z, then it would imply that Jay-Z is part of a group of human beings who are possessed by a group of entities. Furthermore, it suggests that the group of possessed human beings have foreknowledge of the looming financial crisis. This knowledge allows them safe passage through the torrential rains of the financial storm. They will be safe or gone when the financial storm comes. If we were to accept this particular lyrical interpretation, then the following lyric can be placed in proper context.
When the clouds come, we gone. We Rockefeller.
When the clouds come, we gone, we Rockefeller. Notice that the second part of this lyric states that we Rockefeller. Two things here. Jay-Z does not say, I am Rockefeller. Instead, he says, we Rockefeller, indicating that he is associated with the group of people who are impervious to the effects of the financial storm or crisis, and that they will be safe or gone when the financial storm comes.